All right, so I see the red light. That means it is go time from the starting gate on this edition of the West Point 25. Dale Romans, Jason Blewett, and Dale, you're in Kentucky. You getting some golfing? It looks like.
No, just sitting out here by the pool watching people swim and doing my little podcast. Life's great.
Yeah, that looks like a pretty nice spot you're in, man. It's a little overcast here and pretty muggy in South Florida and Fort Lauderdale.
It's as pretty a day as you could ever have today here in Kentucky.
Yeah, it looks like it. How's the weather been in Kentucky this time of year in general?
It's been overly hot, but today's perfect. It's warm, but there's zero humidity. There's not a cloud in the sky, a little light breeze. Sitting by the pool out of my country club, it can't get any better.
Definitely. We teamed up West Point and Team Romans with a win this past Monday. In fact, I think it was race 3 at Indiana Grand, a 3-year-old colt we have by not this time named King's Ovation. Looked pretty good winning, and I thought we'd start off kind of recapping his win. And let me ask you, what'd you think of the effort, and how'd he come out of the race?
I thought he ran a nice race, and, a win's a win. It wasn't a big purse like we get at Churchill, but it was beautiful to get a win in him. And, I mean, as easy as he won, he did a lot. There's a lot of improvement he can make off that race. If you watch, he started shining from the inside. He'd never been up there before. He took himself out in the middle of the racetrack. And that's just him seeing things. And, he still wins by 4, and I don't think really was belly down.
What do you think? Go ahead.
It was a pretty special win, as we talked about a minute ago, and I think it was posted on the West Point chat board. The win with Deshaun Parker. I met Deshaun when he was a little boy. Now, we haven't been together a lot, but our fathers were the best of friends, and his father passed away earlier in the spring. He was a true trailblazer in the sport. He was the first African-American steward, and him and my father were good friends. And so after the race, I called up and I was talking to Sean and said, we might have had a little divine intervention. Both our fathers have passed away. And he said, man, pulling up, I was thinking the same thing, how proud they'd be of us winning one together. I believe that's the first one we've ever won together. When Deshaun was a little, I think so. When Deshaun was a little boy, he used to talk about wanting to be a jockey. And anybody doesn't know, he's literally 6 feet tall. And he started riding at 16, and we all thought, well, he'll ride 6 months. He'll get it out of his system. He's won 5,000 races. You don't understand the type of discipline it takes to win 5,000 races, have a full career, and be 6 feet tall and be a jockey.
Right.
It's pretty amazing stuff. He's a chip off the old block. His father was one of the greatest men in horse racing.
Well, I think, too, like you said, being a trailblazer and opening doors, just accomplishing his dad, Dow Parker, being the first African-American steward and racing official in the United States. I mean, did you talk to Deshaun at all after his dad got that position?
No, I mean, we were just kids. And I literally didn't realize it was a big deal. I knew Darryl was a good man. I knew he was good friends with my father. But when you're a kid at the time, you don't know anything about racism, or what's going on. I just knew Darryl was a good man and he was a good steward. And it wasn't until later in life, when you have a few experiences in life, that you realize what a trailblazer he was. A true gentleman.
Yeah, no, it's good to hear, and it was a nice win. I was looking up after reading that story on the West Point chatter page about the Romans family and the Parkers, and the fact that you guys go back another generation and then some. I was looking up your dad's record, Jerry Romans, on Equibase, and I was also thinking, what are some of the, I don't know, maybe the mindset of training? What are some of the biggest tools or maybe tips that you still instill today that your dad taught you all those years ago?
I wouldn't say my father was the greatest horseman in the world. He came into the game out of college and got a late start, but he was an excellent handicapper. He knew how to place his claiming horses. He knew how to claim. And but some of the biggest things he taught me was how to treat your clients, how to treat people around the racetrack. He always told me it's such a small world. You get caught doing something wrong once, you're dead. He said, just treat everybody well. Don't cheat them, and everything will be good. It's his big thing was his success on horse racing wasn't all about how many races you won or how much purse money you earned. It's could you stay in the game? Could you feed your family? And back when I was a kid, there were a lot of 20 horse barns that were considered big stables. And they were mom and pop operations, guys just going to work and feeding their family. And he was always proud of the fact that he his whole life, I mean, he died at 58, so he didn't live a long life, but he stayed in the game a long time.
Did he see a lot of your success as well? I mean, becoming just a kingpin at Churchill Downs?
Well, he had a stroke when he was 56, and he had come through the worst parts of it. He had a bad brain aneurysm, and he lived. He was paralyzed on half his body. The first year I became leading trainer here, he was in the hospital rehab. And, it's a pretty interesting story. I've told it several times. I might have told it on West Point stuff before, but I remember he was laying in a hospital bed, and it was coming down to the last couple of days at Churchill Downs, and I was like one in front of Wayne Lucas. And then Wayne Lucas, he's one of my heroes too. And I was up visiting my father. I was going out the door. I can remember like it was yesterday, and he called me back in. He couldn't speak real well, but I went back in there. He said, "Don't let him catch you." He said, "This is the opportunity of a lifetime." And we ended up tying. So he did get to find out. And then the first stake I won at Churchill was on Derby Day, and he was in his wheelchair. And he came out to the races to watch it run. I thought we could win. And he never won a stake at Churchill. And he was mostly claiming horses. But he did get to see a couple of good things.
Nice. I love that. What was the first stakes winner at Churchill for you on Derby Day?
It was Bea Valentine. And it's a pretty cool story too. It was a great race, and we go up to the director's room. And of course, I was wanting to get down on the first floor in the bricks and tell all my friends how much smarter I was than them. So we had to go up there. And when we get up there, Leroy Neiman is sitting with Bo Derek over on a couch. And Bo calls for Tammy to come over there and starts talking to her. Says she was been a fan of hers. She'd watched her ride forever. She was small and female, also blazing the trail. And we got to be really good friends with Bo. And then Leroy Neiman sat there, and he's sketching a picture, and then he shows us Tammy and her silks. He's sitting there watching her talk to Bo. He took it home and finished it, and he sent it to me through Paul Horning, which was a friend of his. And Tammy has an original Leroy Neiman of her and her jockey silks. I think that's pretty cool. But the best part of it, Don Rickles was in the director's room.
What?
And I'm talking to this kid, and he's got a girl with him, and Don Rickles comes over, and he just rips me and this kid a new ass. Like, we neither one of us belong up there. And why am I so fat? And who's this kid? Looks all dirty like a hippie. I had no idea who the kid was, but later found out it was Brad Pitt.
Get out of here.
Yeah. So, but one of the highlights of my life is being ridiculed by Don Rickles.
You couldn't put a price on that, right?
No.
To get roasted by him on Derby Day? I mean, give me a break.
The best part of the whole story was I made it to the bricks and told them all how much smarter I was than them.
I love it. Absolutely love it. And you turned out to be right, man, all these years later. Now we've got West Point and the Romans crew, and of course the Albaugh family stable. We've got a really nice crew of 2-year-olds together, and looking forward to getting some of those babies going. And you were just telling me before I hit record, Officer Nick is entered this Sunday to debut at Churchill Downs.
Hey, I wasn't really planning to get here, but he worked so well that day. I don't think we're pushed, and they put a 5/8 race up. It's the last chance we'd have to run at Churchill. And I just thinking, I want to work him 5X next week. I don't know that he's ready to win, but I know he's ready to run well, and we'll get a whole lot out of a race, a lot more than we would out of a work. And so I went ahead and put him in, and we'll let him run on Sunday and get a little line on what we have. I really think it's a talented horse. If he was to win, it'll be a big thing in the city of Louisville. I'm sure everybody at West Point.
Give us some backstory in case somebody didn't tune in to one of the earlier podcasts we did.
Well, if somebody missed it, George Rodman and I have been friends since we were freshmen in high school. George went on to be a part of the police force in Louisville and trained all the police officers. The 2 of them he trained were his sons. And one of them, Nick Rodman, got killed on duty. He was going to a domestic dispute. The guy had jumped in his car and took off running from the police, came around the corner and hit Nick head on, and he died. And he was a young guy with a wife at home that was pregnant. And George, like I said, been my lifelong friend, and it just devastated the whole city of Louisville. Louisville shut down for his funeral. And I kept telling George, when we get the right one, we're going to name him Officer Nick. And this is it. And then the Rodmans will all be there, I'm sure, on Sunday. When I hang up from you all, I'm going to call George and tell him to make sure he's there Sunday. And it'll be a big deal for this horse to be a good horse around the city of Louisville. I'm sure there'll be a film crew there to put him on the news that night, win, lose, or draw.
Definitely, yeah. Big, good-looking son of Frosted. I mean, he's a nice-looking colt. He really is.
He's a pretty horse, solid white almost. He's so pretty.
Mm-hmm. Well, what else is going on? And I'm psyched to see Officer Nick run. And I mean, the backstory with him and the name makes it that much cooler and special, without a doubt. But Jeff Lifson, one of my compatriots here on the West Point side of things, you know, he's at Churchill basically every morning and just does great work, video and pictures. I saw Giant Game, who's by Giant's Causeway, a shot of him getting a bath this morning after training. What's he doing? How's that horse doing?
Yeah. Well, he's doing really well. He can run a bunch. He just was one that had a little sick on me. And so missed a couple of horses. But he's truly one of the most talented in the barn. He does a lot of things right. So I really like him as a horse. He's going to be a good one.
Good. And I was thinking, you know, because I know you love Giant's Causeway, and Giant Game is one of the last 2-year-olds, I would imagine, by Giant's Causeway, which is pretty neat. It got me thinking back to just kind of getting ready for the podcast today. Giant's Causeway with Royal Ascot currently going on as we're taping this. I think there's 2 more races to be run on this Thursday card over in the UK. How about that classic with Giant's Causeway and Tisnow beneath the Twin Spires at Churchill Downs in 2000? I mean, that's got to go down as one of the greatest Breeders' Cup classics of all time.
It's got to be. That's when Dettori was on him and he went out in the middle of the racetrack. It was a memorable race for sure. But now he's been good to me. I've had 2 or 3 Grade 1 winners by Giant's Causeway, and I always thought one of the most beautiful horses I ever saw. And you know, I went to the farm and saw him quite a bit when he was standing stud, and I just got hooked on him, and he's been good to me. And this colt, different color, but he's built just like his daddy.
Well, how was Giant's Causeway built? I mean, when you say that, what do you mean?
Powerful, not the tallest horse we're always run, but just strong and powerful. Then when he went to stud, he just blew up, and he was just a picture of class and health, and just a true specimen. I always said, I think he stood for the most, maybe 80 to 100,000. I always said he was the best value in the game by far.
Mm-hmm. And he's turned out to be a sire of sires and top
we got Brody's guys coming along behind him. We got Not This Time coming along, his sons that are carrying the torches, and yeah, he's done very well.
Yeah, without a doubt. You know, moving on, and with Royal Ascot currently ongoing, I was trying to think back. Was there any talk of Kitten's Joy going over and taking a shot at Ascot?
I don't remember us ever really talking about Ascot, but we had talked a whole lot about the Melbourne Cup. And it's gone as far as trying to figure out the logistics of how to get there in such a long trip. And we ran in Arlington Million that was his 4-year-old year, and we ran in Arlington Million, and he got hurt, so we had to retire him. But I had done some radio shows over there, and people that in America don't realize sometimes, probably the biggest race in the world is the Melbourne Cup. I mean, it's a national holiday in Australia for an entire week. Nobody goes to work. And it would have been cool. 2 miles and a quarter over there, and he would have been a competitor. I don't think there's ever even been an American starter. It's such a pain. We were going to have to go to Newmarket, train for a while, and then head down from there.
He could have done it, though, don't you think? I mean, he was that good, of course.
There's nothing that horse couldn't have done. He was a special horse, always was a special horse.
Yeah. Love Kitten's Joy. And it got me thinking, too, how about a thought from you on what Wesley Ward has accomplished at Ascot, say, over the last 4 or 5 years with him going over with his 2-year-olds?
That's pretty impressive. And Wesley's a good friend. I've known Wesley since back to his riding days. And, you know, he had his training pattern is he likes to get those 2-year-olds ready. And I was just telling somebody a while ago, he went over there and whipped all these guys for several years now, just being so prepared with these horses. And that's not the way Europe has traditionally done things. they want to run 2 miles and they fall back on their mouse leaving there. They don't break the same. It's a whole different pace scenario, different situation in Europe than it is over here. But I watched the Norfolk this morning, and they all came out of the grade so fast. I said, I think Wesley's sort of like Tiger Woods. He's pulled their game up and made them all better about what they're doing with their babies. Now, there's no bigger compliment, of course, than imitating someone. And I think that he might have literally changed the way young horses run in Europe himself, single-handedly.
Well, at some point, I'm sure these guys, I mean, the top trainers over there, you just get tired of getting your brains beat in by this American that's coming over and speed popping the fields, of course.
Right. At least they learned. And Wesley, I haven't keeping track, but I heard he hasn't had the best of weeks over there, but he should be proud of what he's accomplished and how much he actually changed the entire game over there for the young horses.
Definitely. How about a quick Belmont recap? I got to tell you, this turned out to be, and I wouldn't have necessarily predicted it going into this last leg of the Triple Crown, forgetting about all the Medina Spirit and Baffert nonsense, just sizing up this 3-year-old crop and who's been at the head of the class so far. I don't know, not that I was down on the Belmont field, but I just wasn't overly impressed with this crew of horses as a whole. Got to tell you, though, that may have been the wrong opinion and a little premature because, just to see Essential Quality and Hot Rod Charlie run as fast as they did and pull away from the field, it turned out to be a really good capper to this year's Triple Crown. What'd you think of the Belmont?
I was in the same boat with you. I was down on the whole crop, but I changed my mind after Belmont too. Those are 2 really nice horses, and I think Mandaloon's a good horse. And I don't think it's as deep this year as maybe it's been years past, but I think the top 3 or 4 are as good as ever.
Mm-hmm.
And Brad's horse the other day is such a quality. I mean, he ran a huge race, and everybody's so in awe of Charlie's race because he went so fast and kept going. But I haven't talked enough about the winner. I thought he ran a big race. And I saw the other day where he's ranked 5th in the world. So that's a pretty good ranking.
I would say so, man. And look, it sets it up for a very interesting summer to see if Essential Quality can continue on and kind of seal the deal at being 3-year-old champion. And it sounds like the Travers obviously is going to be the main goal for him. You've got a
Right.
Travers win with Keen Ice, who defeated American Pharaoh. We've got a really nice West Point does Keen Ice colt purchased out of the Timonium sale. His name's Keen Air, and he's based at Churchill now with Dallas Stewart. Should we be on the lookout for 2-year-olds by Keen Ice? What are your thoughts with him as a freshman stallion moving into like the latter portion of spring?
I got a couple in the barn right now, and they seem like they're pretty precocious, more so than he was. When he went to stud, I couldn't imagine him being a good 2-year-old sire. I mean, it took him a while to come around. He was always so talented. Tammy told me the first time we worked all the babies, he was my best one. And I kind of put it in the back of my mind and wasn't quite sold on him, but he just got better and better the older he got and bigger and stronger. And it wouldn't surprise me if some of his babies start coming around. Don't give up on him early. Let's just say that.
Okay, good. And we'll save, obviously, Keen Ice against Pharaoh and the Travers. We'll save that for when we're both in Saratoga
That's
together
a show
this
on its
summer.
own. Yeah,
I know it is. Yeah, that we're going to devote the time necessary to go through that whole saga because that deserves its own podcast. And I promise everybody out there, Dale and I will definitely do that. That is a promise because I know the story and it's I've heard it from you more than once and it's as good, if not better, every time you tell me the story again. I mean, yeah, that's a little bit of a teaser. How about, though, and I'll put you on the spot here, just with Saratoga and Del Mar on the horizon, give us a quick Saratoga story or anecdote, something that comes to mind about, spending the meet in upstate New York.
Well, I can tell you about the first time I went up there, I took 6 horses. And when I was getting ready to pull out the gate, my father said, "It's the dumbest thing you ever heard of. People like us don't win at Saratoga." I think I've told you that before. And we ended up winning 3 races that meet, and it really took my career to a new level when you could show. But one of the things I thought was funny, back you know, we used to like to gamble back then as a kid, and I was only 26 years old. I went up there arrogant as can be. And I was hiding this 2-year-old in his works. I was trying to make his works look slower, different things. We were going to bet our money. It was a Metal Lake colt. Middleman was his name. And I thought I did a great job, and I'm all pumped up. I'm going to get a $25 mutual. And I pull into Saratoga. This is when I realized how smart New Yorkers are and how smart New York horse players are. I pull into Saratoga, and I get to know the valet guy so I could park up close. I wanted to look like a big shot. If I didn't win any, at least people were going to think I was somebody big.
Right.
And I pitched him the keys, and he didn't know who I was from Adam. He said, "Come here, kid, let me show you something." I'd been talking to him for about a week. He said, "Here's a horse that you can bet on today, won't get beat." Open it up, it was Middleman. And he went off 3-5 and won by 6.
Well, at least he won. You didn't even get $4 on him, and he didn't embarrass you. But that's pretty great. 3-5, huh?
3-5. And I just read that, and that's when I realized there's some savvy people up in New York.
Mm-hmm.
You better go up there with your long pants on.
Yeah, you got that right for sure. Well, I mean, again, with Saratoga about a month away at this point, which is crazy. How many you think you'll have up there? You gonna get some stalls?
Well, yeah, we're gonna take 15 up. That's what I've done the last few years. We got one little barn. It used to be Scotty Showhopper's barn, and I'm proud of being. There's been a lot of champions walk around that barn when Scotty was there.
Oh yeah,
and it's right on it's a half-mile pole. I think it's the best location on the racetrack. So we'll take 15 up there. I've won a race there 29 straight years, and hopefully we can make it 30.
I hope so. Yeah, that's again, the Jonathan Shepherd. I think his record came to an end either last summer or the summer before. But dude, I mean, 29 straight summers up there with the win. I think his was over 50, which is just
way
bananas.
Behind Jonathan. We're not worried about chasing that goal yet, but yeah, I was just hoping to go up there and run a horse, start a horse one time at Saratoga, and I would have thought I'd made it. And I could have never imagined that, won the Whitney and won the Travers and almost a lot of their major stakes. And I never would have believed it when I started going up there that things would have worked out so well.
Yeah, you got to win in the H. Allen Jerkins too, horse rather. I gotta, plead guilty. I kind of forgot about Promises Fulfilled and just what a beast he was as a 3-year-old, man. He was a good racehorse.
He was as fast as any horse I ever had. And he had great endurance to go along with it, but he was just wicked fast. And now there's a horse, when his babies come out, which they will in a couple of years, the mares are just now in foal, there's a 2-year-old sire. You can bank that. You can bank that. His babies will be fast.
All right, sweet. All right, good. I'll let you go. You have a little lunch there, and why don't we catch up next week, my friend?
Sounds good, buddy. Talk to you later.
All right, Dale. Thanks again, man.
All right, West Point Nation. Talk to you later.
That's it.